Welcome to the AAA Storage Podcast, your integrated real estate and development partner exploring all things self-storage investing to bring you diversified success. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the AAA Storage Podcast. I have with me, as always, Paul Bennett. Thanks for joining today.
Always good, Brandon. Always good. I'm a little nervous about today, though.
Today is a fun episode because we are going to be getting to know Paul Bennett. Who is Paul? What makes him tick? Why does he do what he does? Because the reason we care so much about the work that we do is because of the people. The investments that we make, the choices that we make, the relationships that are driven as a result of that, everything comes down to people. And that's why, Paul, you take so many calls from everyone. I mean, anybody that calls you, every email, you guys read it and think through and have these amazing conversations with people because relationships and trust is so important. Yeah. So as a result, we thought it would be great to have a podcast episode dedicated to 25 questions for Paul Bennett because this is our 25th episode. And so we have a series of questions, 15 general questions, and then 10 rapid fire questions. And so I am excited to get these insights in front of you guys. So Paul has no idea what is coming. And so we're going to get his first off-the-cuff response with each
and I'm concerned that you and Caitlin, who's our director of marketing, have conspired. So we'll see how this goes. Now, I'm looking forward to it. We'll have fun.
Absolutely. We have conspired. And just for the record, it is Caitlin's fault. So I'm just the messenger. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to have fun. All right. So, Paul, question number 1. What is a decision-making principle you use in investing that also shows up in how you live your life?
Wow. That's a jump off the cliff on the first question right there. I think, I don't know if this applies exactly. I have 2 sayings that really I've hung on to for a lot of years. One of them is when you didn't get what you wanted, what you got was experience. I like that. And the other one is unmet expectations are the root of all anger.
I like that.
And so I don't know that necessarily applies directly to investment decisions. I think the experience one does a little bit. I mean, because when you make an investment decision, you certainly look at all the data. You become as informed as you possibly can be. But ultimately, there are no guarantees and there are no certainties. So sometimes you don't get the returns you wanted. What you get is experience, and hopefully that experience can be applied to future decisions. And it's sort of a continuous improvement mindset. So
that's right. Well, knowing you guys, I know the due diligence process is helpful to set those expectations so that investors aren't angry. No, that's great. I love those things. I think those are really important. And I could dive into that and we could talk about it for an hour, but got some more questions for you. So hang on to that thought. All right, number 2. When people ask what you do, how do you answer when you're off the clock?
That's interesting. I've actually changed that recently, just in terms of how I answer. For the longest time, my answer has been I'm a real estate developer and investor. And we are, but we're also a private equity real estate fund manager. And the two are obviously related, but they're very different in terms of what's involved. So I think the answer now that I give people when I just meet somebody casually and they ask, what do you do, is I'm a real estate private equity fund manager and developer. That's cool. How I explain who I am.
Do you ever get like, what is that? What does that mean? What is it? Can you explain that in 10 minutes?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Kind of depends on where you are and who you're talking to. But
that's fun. Okay, number 3. When your team describes you, what word do you hope they use?
Encourager. I think it feels really weird talking about myself, but if I have a gift, I coached high school sports for 12, 14 years. I've done a lot of things along in my life that are about teaching, training, developing, encouraging people. And I'm a big, have been, he's dead now, but have always been interested in and committed to personal development. And a guy named Jim Rohn, who like I said, has passed away now, probably pull on the things that he talked about in terms of personal development and wrote about. Anyway, I'm a developer of people. I think it's what I love and where I get the most satisfaction.
Interesting. I can confirm that because every time we meet up to record one of these, before we start recording off the record, we have a nice conversation. You're always so encouraging to me. So yeah. I can confirm.
Yeah, our team's incredible, but we're really fortunate to have the group we do.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch them. Some of them are young. Some of them are still learning, certain aspects of what we do. And so it's fun. Yeah. That's where I have fun.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. So this is a related question, one of my favorites. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
That's all I've done my whole life. When I'm done doing this, I'll be on the beach somewhere.
All right, fair enough.
But for now, I can't think of anything else. My father was a family physician. Early in in high school and when I first went to college, I really thought I would be a family physician, like my dad. And still think that would have been an interesting career, but I'm way too old to go back to school. So
you don't want to go to med school right now?
Yeah. No.
Fair enough. This is number 5. What is the biggest misconception people have about your industry?
Ali, these are, and I wish you'd give me some of these questions in advance. I hate to have these long, awkward pauses.
No, this is great. We can take those up.
Because I've never asked anybody, I just kind of have to guess, and it sort of comes through my own lens. I sometimes wonder because people think of people and companies in our role as investing other people's money, and therefore, I imagine think that it really doesn't matter to us tremendously when a deal doesn't go well or we don't deliver on the returns that we've set out to create, and it matters greatly. It's all I think about all day, every day, is how do we execute better? How do we do what we do in a way that allows us to be that trusted, dependable partner for our investors? So it's not a very good answer, but I guess maybe the other misconception is that you see on the podcast, this is how I dress every day, that we're somehow fancy, people that run in big circles and, are in New York all the time and talking to people at Goldman Sachs. And that's not my life at all. I'm either got mud on my boots out in the field looking at a project or a site, or I'm, in my office talking to our investors and running the process that we run to raise capital and make the wheels of commerce turn. So
the wheels of commerce. Tell us, this is related, number 6. Tell us about a time you were completely wrong about something in your industry, and what did you learn? So talking about that experience point on number 1. What was something you've gathered some experience because you were wrong?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know that this is, I was certainly wrong. I bought a piece of land. This was outside AAA because I invest in real estate. We've talked about that before. I'm probably way over allocated to real estate, but it's what I know and what I love. We bought a piece of land outside Charlotte, North Carolina in 2006 at the peak of the market. Didn't actually get to develop it until 2021. God. So we held that land for 15 years because we so grossly overpaid for it. Obviously, we didn't know 2008, 2009 was coming. But right at the end of 2006, we bought it wound up being an $80 million mixed-use development that has been incredibly successful. Thankful for that. But it was a horrible. It was a time when everybody thought real estate could do nothing but go up. When you go to a cocktail party and 5 guys at the cocktail party are talking about how they just left their career to flip houses, that's the time when you need to be selling every piece of real estate you own. Yes. And that's sort of where we were in 2006, 2007. And I guess I just didn't see I didn't see what was coming. And then related to that, although I'm kind of proud of this, we borrowed some money to buy that land. And when everybody else in the industry was basically holding out the keys to the bank and say, you can take this back if you want to, or I'll give you pennies on the dollar for your loan. And there were a lot of guys that cut great deals and really shed a lot of debt because the banks just wanted to get it off their balance sheet. And we didn't. We paid off the loan in full and owned it for cash and sat on it for, almost 15 years before we could develop it.
Wow.
And that was monetarily a mistake. I guess from a reputational standpoint with the banks, it's not, not the worst seat to be sitting in. But
yes. Anyway. That is extremely important and very hard to do.
Yeah.
To have the courage to do that in a hard time.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody really took a reputation. I mean, it was what it was. I mean, in the storage industry, we actually were able to buy back some loans on property that we owned at pennies on the dollar, and which was a really smart financial move. Yeah. The banks were selling them, and so that felt a little different because they were trying to sell the loans. They wanted to offload it off their balance sheet, so it wasn't like we took advantage of them. Somebody else would have bought them if we didn't. But but as the owner of the property and going to the bank and basically holding the keys out and say, if you don't take this back, if you want to, you can have it back. Like, I'll walk away. Yeah. Didn't feel like the right thing to do. So I don't know.
I love that. What's something you believe about money or investing that most people in finance would disagree with?
Leverage is good. I don't know if you're talking about personal finance or not, but Dave Ramsey's a brilliant guy, and he's built a big advisory practice and radio shows and TV shows and everything, telling people to get out of debt. I think debt well used, strategically used, is how you build wealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never been afraid of leverage. And, again, it's just, I don't know that, I think personal financial advisors probably are anti-debt. Certainly guys like Dave Ramsey. I think debt, again, used correctly, is how you build wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I think I would imagine his target audience is not people who are wise, savvy financial investors. It is people who are getting into messes. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And his point on credit cards and stuff like that, credit cards have been amazing for me personally, and different things that they can do. But anyway.
Well, I mean, anyway, we don't need to beat that one to death. But I think for some people in not being in debt and paying off their home is the smart thing to do.
Agreed.
But I think that's not if you look at people who have created wealth and long-term financial security. There's a point in life where, it's like everything else, where you probably shouldn't be as aggressive. But I think in the wealth accumulation phase of life, using leverage the right way is something a lot of people are hesitant to do. And I think that's not the right perspective.
Yeah. And I do agree there is a huge mental and emotional burden that you can feel when you have a lot of debt, and clearing that out, though it has a non-monetary value, is still very valuable. So I can go with that and hear that argument.
Well, it depends on what you're using debt for. And again,
agreed,
I'm beating these to death, but I don't I don't have a loan. I've never had, well, I say never. I can't tell you the last time I had a loan on a car, because a car is a depreciating asset.
Yeah,
when I'm a proponent of debt, it's because it's attached to an asset that's worth far more than the amount of debt that's on it, and it's appreciating in value, not depreciating in value. So that's where a debt makes sense.
I like that. Okay, number 8. What innovation or shift in the self-storage space excites you most right now?
I think our strategy, said this on tons of episodes, we're still pretty old school in the sense that we have live-on-site managers, and we think that human touch is important. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we want to serve all of the customers that are out there across all the multiple generations. And the remote technology that we use alongside our live-on-site managers, which would allow somebody who's a millennial or a Gen Xer or a super techie, baby boomer, to rent a unit, pay for it, get all the codes, access codes and everything on their phone in less than 5 minutes, is pretty cool technology.
That's cool. Okay, that's cool.
And it's in today's world of technology, it's really not that impressive. But I think from an impact standpoint, a lot of operators have gone to totally remotely managed facilities. There's not a human being there, and they have a kiosk on site. So if you don't want to do it on your phone, you can literally punch in everything on a kiosk, enter your credit card, and and then it'll text you with the gate codes and everything. We just haven't gone that far, but I think that's pretty. I think that's the technology that shaped things. I think the other thing is the amount of data that's available on the marketing side, and the ability to know where your customers are coming from, and therefore shape your marketing to be more effective. Is the other thing. That's sort of internal, but that's the other thing. The amount of data that's available today in every industry is just incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's too much.
Yeah.
Too much than anybody can actually process. I love that. Okay, number 9. What's one thing you hope people feel after engaging with AAA?
Ooh, that's the easy one. They're important. Whether somebody's investing $5 million or $50,000, we want, Andrew and I work together really hard to make sure that they never feel rushed, they never feel pushed, they feel listened to, and they get all the information they want, and that their takeaway, whatever decision they make, is that we were helpful to them in making the investment decision.
I love that.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That's what we're committed to, in every interaction we have with a potential investor.
So important. So important.
Yeah.
Number 10, who's a leader, past or present, you'd love to have lunch with?
There are a lot of them. I'm going through a list in my head. Give me a second. Nick Saban.
Really? Mm-hmm. Tell me more. Why?
For years, because I didn't really know Nick Saban, and I'm not an Alabama fan, I didn't dislike Nick Saban because I didn't know him, but I wasn't rooting for him or for Alabama. I've always, they were so well entrenched as, the powerhouse of college football for so many years. I'll always love to see him get beat. But once he retired and he became a little more public and he began to share some of his insights and thoughts about leadership and accountability and how to achieve greatness, I just love his perspective. And
really?
I can imagine the impact. I know the impact he's had on the young men he coached. And I think there's no greater legacy than that. He's a leader. He's a leader of men in a very unique way, in a game that requires a lot to achieve the level of excellence that his team's achieved over all the years. So as a business person running a team, the culture that he created, everything that he created at Alabama, and what he believed in order to create that, to me, I think is powerful. And I'd love to pick his brain.
For listeners and for me, I'm just selfishly curious. How would you summarize his leadership style or his approach, maybe?
Love and fear.
Okay.
The players that played for him were not scared to death, but they revered him so much they never wanted to let him down. But they would take the hard coaching from him because he knew how much they cared. But he's all about accountability. It's all about and it's all about your choices. He would rather have a player with a B level of physical talent and an A level of attitude, because the guys that have A level talent and B level attitude are coach killers, because they look really good as athletes, but they never reach their full potential. And so they make the coach look bad. The B guys that have A attitudes are the reverse. They make a coach look like a genius because they outperform their physical expectations because of their commitment and discipline, the work habits. It's about the process. It's not about the outcome in a moment. It's about your confidence in the moment is based on the work that you've done to get to that moment, and the willingness to make the sacrifices that have to be made in a sport like football or in business or in any walk of life to achieve more. So not very well said by me, but
interesting. I'm going to YouTube later. I feel like there's a lot to learn there.
Oh yeah, you really ought to go check out some of this stuff. It's really
okay.
fascinating. Yeah.
Huh, okay. Good to know. Okay, number 11. If you could master any skill instantly, what would it be?
I've been a sort of half committed guitar player for most of my life.
Really?
Either the guitar or the banjo. If I could master either of those instruments, that would be really fun. I just have never put enough time in.
Do you have a favorite guitarist?
Martin, but I'm playing a Taylor right now. But
guitarist. Yeah, no. Guitarist.
Oh, you guitar. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Stevie Ray Vaughan as a blues guitarist, incredible.
Yep.
Eric Clapton, obvious choice. Probably. Okay. And I can't remember his first name now. Not the anyway. I can't remember his first name. With Dire Straits.
These are before my time, Paul.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know these guys. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay, what is something you are currently learning or working on personally?
It's physical. I'm at an age, and with my body having sort of done all the things it's done over the years, I have developed some hip and back issues, and I have for the last 3 years been studying intently kinesiology and the whole science of muscle imbalance and muscle balance, and in an effort to be as healthy and vibrant as I can for the next 20 years. So that's a weird one, right? I mean, it's not, I'm trying to learn AI. I'm trying to understand how to leverage the power of AI from a business standpoint. But I put a lot of time and energy into my physical health. So, and it's been a real journey of studying lots of different disciplines and lots of different information and trial and error. But I spend an hour to an hour and a half a day stretching and doing strengthening exercises. So it's been a real interesting journey.
What's your advice to your younger self, 20 years ago about your health? That you
start doing what I'm doing now 20 years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. This is the fun one for me, but it'll bore the heck out of anybody listening to this. but the reality is the body is incredibly able to adapt. And so in your 30s and 40s, there's things going on that your body just adapts to. And there's no pain, no discomfort, and you just kind of roll on down the road. And 10 or 15 years later, you get to your early 50s, and all of a sudden you go, I've got a back problem. I wonder why that just started. It didn't just start. It started 15 years ago. But your body, I've had double knee replacement. I've had stuff, like that. But that were early signs of imbalances and things that weren't, but your body just shifts that to somewhere else. And when the body's young, it can do that and just keep right on going. But ultimately, because you're not using your body the way you're supposed to, your knees wear out and you wind up with a knee replacement. And then, it's one thing after another. So it's really, particularly for people who are in jobs where they're more sedentary and they're sitting at a desk all day. Start like in your 40s. Yeah. That was me, right? I mean,
yeah.
And that's where it came from. So I won't get into the details because it really is boring. But it's start early, stretch, do yoga, be physically active, move.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to get up from this chair when we get done. Number 13. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I ever received. I had a football coach one time that was getting on me about something, and he said, "See that bucket of water over there?" Said, "The hole, you put your foot in it, and the hole you leave when you pull it out is how much you'll be missed when you're gone from here."
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
But it makes you stop and think, right? You know, in the moment we think we're so important, and I don't know. We can edit that one out. That's probably not a good answer.
No, it stuck with you.
Yeah,
No, I was just talking with a friend yesterday who said something very similar about his job. He felt like he was just a cog in a machine, but he was like okay with that. It like helped him be like, it's not about me. It's not my ego. I can be replaced. And it like really helped him be like positive and like hopeful about where he's at instead of like this grind. Is that kind of how you're taking that?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay.
It challenged me to want to have enough of an impact that wouldn't be the case.
Interesting. The exact opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a silly answer to a great question. It just.
You want to try again?
Yeah, maybe. I was trying to think back to things my dad said to me or coaches along the way said to me. Yeah. That's such a deep question. It's hard to answer off the hip.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice I ever got. Yeah, that's just such a hard one. Let's go back over all the years and all the people. Yeah. We'll have to stay with the one I came up with because I can't think of anything else.
Fair enough. All right.
This one's going to take a lot of editing.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We got this. All right, number 14. What's a better investment return, time or money?
Time. Every time.
Tell me about this. I was so curious to hear what you would say.
You can always make more money. You can't, the time you have, and Lord knows I'm 66 years old, you realize as you get older how valuable time is. I just thought of an answer to it may not be the best piece of advice I ever had, but it relates to the time one. Jim Rohn, it wasn't a personal piece of advice, but it was a perspective that he had, said, don't miss anything. Don't miss your kid's ball game. Don't miss the concert. Don't miss the experiences of life that are there, that make life richer and build perspective and bonds and relationships. That's a pretty powerful piece of advice if you really stop and think about it. And it relates to time. I mean, the time you have is the most valuable, and the relationships that you build and the time you spend with people, quality time, there's nothing more valuable than that.
So going back 30 years, you tell your younger self to do what? To maximize your time, your investment on your time.
Focus, understand what's really important. Invest your time where it has the most impact. Pay attention to your spouse. Pay attention. Your parents are only here for a season. Mine are gone now. There was a season of life where I invested a lot of time to spend with my parents because I realized they weren't going to be here much longer. Your kids are grown, man. You've got two little ones. My youngest turned 34 today. The years go by so fast, and your ability to impact and imprint and help them become the best version of themselves is so limited if you think about it. It seems at the time like it goes on forever, but you're going to turn around twice, and you're going to have a middle schooler, and then they're going to be gone. Focus and think about your priorities in terms of how you invest your time.
It's hard to keep that in mind when the days right now, as the saying goes, are very long, but the years are short.
But not stupid, but my dad was a physician. He had the largest single physician family practice in the state of North Carolina. He had 12,000 active charts in his practice and saw 60 to 70 people a day. And when he came home at night, he was exhausted. Yeah. But my dad was very intentional We went camping together. We went hunting together. When I was 9 or 10 years old, he fell in love with snow skiing, and we skied 2 weeks a year. He and I. We would go to Colorado, or we'd go to Vermont, or we'd go to. So he was a busy man doing important things. So it wasn't necessarily, Monday through Friday. But he was very intentional about spending, quality time with me, and I've never forgot it.
Okay. This is giving me a lot to think about. Number 15. Fast forward 5 years. What's one dream or goal that still gets you fired up?
Oh my gosh, so many. God, well, I mean, business, personal. I mean, there's so many. In 5 years, from a business perspective, Fund 1 will be in the middle of its liquidation. Fund 2 will be starting to liquidate properties. Our plan is to raise a series of funds, and 5 years from now, I want us to produce incredible results for our investors. I want us to have a great reputation in the marketplace, and our team will be even bigger in 5 years than it is now by necessity. And I want to have hired great people who have a team that they're proud to be a part of, building a vision that they're proud to tell their family and friends, I was a part of accomplishing that, or I was a part of doing that. So yeah, that's from a business standpoint.
I love that.
We got a long history and a long track record, and so hopefully we have that as a foundation. As we build on that foundation, I want it to be even better.
I love that. You guys have an amazing foundation, an amazing team, and I'm excited 5 years from now what that's going to look like. That's cool.
Yeah, we're just not very good at raising money. I mean, I think the thing that I get excited about is to drive the growth that we're trying to achieve. It's really about becoming more sophisticated, more disciplined, and more knowledgeable about the whole process of working with and talking to investors. The operational side of things, which I'm deeply involved in right now, in 5 years I expect to be less involved in. As our team matures, we're developing internal processes and decision-making pathways that should let me be less involved in the day-to-day decision-making and more focused on our external presence in the market and relationships with investors. So.
Well, excited to keep seeing that vision unfurl.
Yeah,
it's been a good ride so far. I've watched you guys mature and grow even this year. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, switching to part 2, we have 10 rapid fire questions. So first thing that comes to mind. These should be a little easier.
Okay. Yeah. Those are pretty deep, dude.
I know. But I wanted people to get to know you. I think you're such an amazing guy, and I love our conversations that we get to have. And so, anyway, I hope people take a lot away from the depth that you were able to provide. So thank you. Part 2, this would be number 16. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person, absolutely.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
First job you ever had?
Cropping tobacco.
All right. Favorite movie?
When We Were Soldiers, Mel Gibson.
I've actually never seen it.
It's one of the greatest movies about leadership that I've ever seen.
Really?
Great portrayal of a leader in very difficult circumstances. So whether you're a corporate executive or whatever, if you want to see what leadership looks like under fire, that's the movie.
Interesting. Okay. Never seen it. I will add that to the list. Do you have a hidden talent or party trick you want to tell everybody about?
No, I'm still a surfer at 66. So
Really?
I
didn't
don't know
really?
that that's a party trick or yeah.
No, that's cool. I didn't know. That's a hidden talent, at least for me. Yeah. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay, risk or regret, which keeps you up at night?
Regret.
The last thing that made you laugh.
I've been in a risky business all my life, so I'm used to that.
But that risk, the stress from that doesn't keep you up at night. It is the regret, really.
Yeah. No. Much more regret than risk.
Okay. The last thing that made you laugh out loud.
Me. My 4-year-old granddaughter, who is a piece of work. It would be my 4-year-old granddaughter, and this was actually a video of her. They live in Raleigh near North Hill, so they live very much in town. But they have chickens in their backyard, and June loves her chickens, and she takes them like they're pets and climbs up her jungle gym and slides them down the slide. So that was the last time
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's why you should always have kids in your life. They make it much more enjoyable. That's great. Okay, most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Probably most adventurous thing I've ever done. Probably a fairly long list of those. Probably paddling out in 15 to 18 foot surf.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Was this in North Carolina?
No, it was in Florida actually.
Really? Yeah.
Hurricane David.
Okay. This is why I stay inside. Okay. Number 9, or I guess in this case, number 24, planned vacation or spontaneous road trip?
Much more often a spontaneous trip than something that's planned. Enjoy a planned trip, but it's more often than not, it's relatively spontaneous.
Okay. All right, last one. Favorite way to spend a Sunday morning?
Church.
Best way to do it. It's
Yeah.
a great way to end. Okay. Is there any answer you want to take back or change?
I need to come up with a better answer for the best piece of advice I ever got.
Yeah, best piece of advice.
I tell you, dude, those were some deep questions. Great questions, but yeah, I've gotten so much good advice over the years. It's hard to sort of find one in my mind that felt like the best piece of advice I ever got.
Yeah.
But
well, I bet if I kind of flipped the question around and said, you give the advice to a 30, 35, 40, 45-year-old, let's say average out 40-year-old, in general, to have the life well lived, the good life, what do you say?
it would be for a younger person than that, but
okay.
I have a son who's 41, and when he was growing up, our house was kind of the house where everybody hung out. So I had a bunch of, kids that are now in their 40s that at 21, 22, 23, when they were graduating from college, they were all in a panic because they didn't know what they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And the advice I gave them was something I'd been told along the way, which is your 20s are about practice. They're about figuring out what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like and what you don't like. You'll figure out a career in your 30s, and you won't make any real money till you're in your 40s and 50s. Because kids today feel like they're supposed to have, with Zuckerberg and Gates and all these, particularly the technology-related careers where some of these guys have been billionaires before they were, 25 or 28. Yeah. There's so much unreasonable expectations, and life just does. There are people who know when they're 10 years old they want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a this or that, but that's the exception. And my career evolved that way. I had no idea I was going to wind up in real estate. It's a long story, so I won't tell it. But it was a series of chance encounters, starting with me working as a bartender in a hotel that was owned by a real estate syndicator. And that's how I wound up with a career that's now spanned more than 40 years. Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole another episode.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. I mean, as a 35-year-old with often unrealistic expectations, partly because I'm in the tech world and follow those stories closely, it's encouraging to hear you kind of figure it out in your 30s, and then it's sort of,
Well,
ramps up from there. As far as your, quote unquote, like material or financial success anyway.
Yeah, but you've clearly figured it out. You've now got your career and your career path. You're building a firm, doing a great job, and you're making a living. But as you progress, if you choose to scale it and design it so that it can build wealth as a business, then that'll be the next season of life.
That's encouraging. Well, Paul, I always love our conversations, and this is for sure among my favorites because I do love to get to know you, and I love the chance or the opportunity for our listeners to get to know you as I have in our kind of off-the-cuff moments this last year. So you are an amazing guy. You guys are running an amazing operation, and it's really exciting to see it come together. So if you would like to get to know Paul more personally, please email him.
Yeah.
Get in touch with the team. You go to AAA storageinvestments.com and you'll find all the contact information there. And of course, join the newsletter and follow up with Paul and Andrew and the team there. But Paul, because you love people and you're such an encourager, I love the chance and the opportunity for people to get in touch with you and talk to you about investments and how you guys do what you do, because it's really important work that you're doing.
And I love interacting with folks and hearing other people. One of the things I think is in any place where there are lots of people is that everybody has a story. And it's always fun to hear and learn about somebody's story. So
I love that. Everyone has a story. Everyone is important.
That's right.
Paul, thank you very much. We will
Lots of
see
fun.
you on the next episode.
Thanks, buddy.